You've started your business, so congratulations, you're the next contestant on The Price is Right. Coming up with pricing for selling your services can be extremely difficult. One of the famous business adages is never compete on price, but you have to set a price. So, how do you choose what that price is without making that what you're competing on? You'll notice when you get into the contracting world that there are a lot of people that are willing to do things for very little money. All you need to do is check on websites like Upwork and see that there are tons of people posting jobs that are paying next to nothing. These might be interesting opportunities for you as you're looking at trying to get the first job or two, but there's no way to make any money. There's nothing to sustain it. There are people that are on there that I'm sure have day jobs and they're just looking for some side hobby thing to do because it will be fun or interesting. That's not some way that you can use to build your business on. You have to be at a completely different price point, selling a completely different thing, not competing on price. So, what do you compete on? One of the things that you can compete on is expertise. So if you go into the market with a very defined niche of what you're providing, you're going to be able to charge a lot more for it. And you'll be able to be specific with what you're bringing to the market. Hopefully, you'll also have some examples. These are maybe some examples that you have done for cheap or for free that you can build a little portfolio of so you're able to show people showcases of your expertise in action with customers. At the very least, you could do it with in-house projects that you've done yourself just to demonstrate your expertise. Finding that niche can be an extremely powerful thing that gives you the ability to charge those higher rates. When I first started on my own, I was out in a market where there were a lot of people out of work at the time. A lot of programmers were out of work, and you could get a C++ programmer, which was kind of the technology at the time. You could get them very cheap. And I didn't want to compete in that market. It would have been very, very difficult to sustain. I actually competed by coming in with expertise in LabVIEW, which is an entirely different programming language that I had experience in, and fit a different niche in the market. And I was able to charge double, a little over double actually, of what the street price was for a C++ programmer, which was amazing because it's not like I was that much better of a programmer than those people were, but I had picked something that was a more limited market and became an expert in it. And I was able to deliver LabVIEW programming services to people at a much higher price point. So finding that niche, finding that expertise that you can lean into is super valuable. One of the other ways that you can compete is by competing on time. That is, your hourly rate can be higher if you can get the job done faster. How do you get the job done faster? Perhaps you have a framework for an application, a ready-made partial solution of what needs to be created that you can use to leverage to really hit the ground running and come in with a lot of value right off the beginning. And then you can customize that and add on what the customer wants. That's something that will bring the cost of the project down, even though it can keep your hourly rate up because you're able to deliver more in a confined amount of time. You might go so far with that as taking that framework, and that itself might even become a product. So you could have a base product that you then can sell sort of consulting services on top of. We did that many years ago. We came up with a LabVIEW framework called Aloha, and that is a standalone framework piece that is a jumpstart on any program. It kind of hits the medium to large size program application space. So if you've got a complex project, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting with a huge amount of code with an architected way of being able to expand it. And then what we sell is the additions to that platform. We went so far as to make that open source and available to the community because we want to be we want to endear ourselves to the community and be solution providers. But then at the same time, if someone wants to have a program written in Aloha, we're obviously the best qualified to be able to do that, having written the system itself. That's a really great way to be able to leverage some code reuse in a very dramatic way in the form of a product. When I first started on my own, I was pricing myself much closer to the C++ and C programmers that were on the market because it felt like that was the market for a programmer. But when I found the niche of LabVIEW and leaned into that, I was able to more than double my prices and be able to not only sustain that, but after I doubled my prices, I had a much easier time actually finding clients. There's a certain sense where people know you get what you pay for, and if you're undercharging for your services, you are undervaluing your own services. And people will see that, they'll perceive that as what your true value is. And if you're going to stand out from the crowd, you need to stand out with an expertise that you're bringing to the market and with a dollar cost that is commensurate with that expertise. It helps establish you as an expert in your field and be able to charge more. Setting the hourly rate is a critical part of being successful in being in business for yourself. If you are not making enough per hour, you're not going to make it. As a business owner, you're not going to be able to charge for every hour. So it's very, very important to get the most you can out of the hours that you bill.